So here's typically what happens when you go shopping for a house. You walk in and you see a bunch of people at the open house and you get all excited and you see one thing that makes you fall in love with it. Well, that one thing for me with this house was the kitchen. Saw this, saw the view, and I was like, that's it, I'm sold. So some of the stages that we go through when we buy a house are excitement, and then we go through a little bit of fear, but I'd say the biggest one that's the hardest to get through is the disappointment.
Trevor, you were supposed to tell me that I made a big mistake. Tumbling down, we had a tree here. There's like cracks in the drywall. There were shingles that were gone.
And the disappointment usually happens when you have your professional home inspector come to the home and point out some of the things that haven't been maintained throughout the years and things that perhaps you're gonna have to take care of down the line after the house officially becomes yours. And that was our experience, and our professional home inspector was Trevor Drinnen of Signature Inspections Hawaii. He's actually here today. Let's go outside and meet him. How's it, Trevor?
It's good. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming today to re-look at my house. So you remember, because we hired you to do our inspection, and we hit that like moment of disappointment. I mean, you know how excited I was about this house.
I remember you calling afterwards and going, did we make the right decision?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trevor, you were supposed to tell me that I made a big mistake.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
just kidding. I know. But I remember I was like, Trevor, I really want this house.
Yeah.
And I just need you to tell me that it's not going to slide off the hill.
Right.
And you did that.
Right. Yeah. And we looked at all the foundation stuff and we went over things and said we reaffirmed how things are affected. We talked about hillside. And the number one issue is always water.
Is that the number one issue with homes in Hawaii? Like, I mean, what is the number one issue with homes in Hawaii?
It's water.
Water.
But then especially when you tie it into a hillside. So like behind us, we have this here where we're level, but it's going down to the house. And so all that water in the landscape was even high here and pointed to the house. So you had water naturally going under your house. You had your downspouts going under your house. And that's why that was the number one issue for you on the hillside.
So I did the number one thing you shouldn't do is buy a house on a hill that has water problems.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Because there's a solution to all that.
There
it's called
is.
water diversion.
Okay.
You could raise the landscape next to the house, diverting the water away. You could put in-ground systems. You could have landscapers do things. There's a lot of things, and you've taken those steps as we could see the yard behind us. You've started diverting the water away, and that's A+ for you.
There were several things that were identified with this house. And of course, as a woman, I want to go straight inside and I want to start changing vanities and changing the flooring and leveling the flooring and all these things. And then it became this, how do I prioritize what I'm going to do? And then per your direction, we realized we needed to prioritize water diversion. And the first thing for us was either we're going to do the roof, so we're either going to stop water coming in from the top or we're going to stop water coming in from the bottom. And we bought this house in November, and that starts rainy season in Hawaii. So we knew we got to get the roof fixed, right? Because you identified that there were shingles that were gone, our solar water heater panels were not operating properly, and they were like shooting hot water and burning the shingles, right? Yeah, so
you had some puka, some peeling. We had to get the roof fixed. I mean, it's like the umbrella. You want to keep water out of the house.
But the water underneath is not necessarily something you see. So I think when we decided what are we going to do first, it just made sense to let's tackle the roof, because that's going to get done quick. We just have to take down what's already there and replace it and do it right. And that's what we did. That's where we started.
And even by adding the new roof, you added some new gutters, and those gutters and downspouts diverted the water away from the foundation. So you actually started step one, especially with the rainy season, but you integrated into step two by adding the downspouts, and those downspouts pushed water out of the foundation because previously they ran the downspouts under your foundation.
Oh my gosh.
So
I know.
Right next to one of the pillars, there was a downspout and water spilling out everywhere, and you could see where it shifted because of that. But you guys really did a combo by diverting that outward.
Thank you. Well, it's a work in progress. And I think the most important thing to understand with water diversion, because again, we want to go in and we watch HGTV, and I want to get in there and I want to start doing all the cute stuff. But the reason that we have to divert water is because when water is shooting under the house, it causes the ground to shift and it causes the structural integrity of the home to, I don't know, not be so great. I can't think of anything else to say.
when water comes off the roof, it hits the downspouts or the rain gutters, then it penetrates or percolates in the soil, right? But then it will only percolate far enough till it hits rock. Once it hits rock, then it sheds away. But if it doesn't hit rock, then all of a sudden your foundation can sink or settle. Foundations could crack. But then foundations could slide, especially on hillsides, and we want to prevent all that.
Yes.
The last thing we could do is if soil is right next to it, as soil saturates your wood foundation, it will actually wick up the wall and cause exterior damage.
Oh,
so water is just like, hey, keep it away. Keep it out of the house.
Keep it away.
Yeah, keep it away.
Water diversion, number 1. So, you know, it's funny as a real estate agent, you know, we talk to people every day that want to buy a house. And I want to say, if I had $1 for every person that said, I would really love to buy a fixer-upper, I think a fixer-upper would be fun.
Yeah.
I have so much to say about that now, because I used to think it would be fun too. And I didn't even think this house was a fixer-upper.
Oh, you get that from HGTV and other things, right?
But again, I didn't think I was buying a fixer-upper. I had no idea, you know, that there were these issues, if you would, right? And we were just talking about it, that homeowners prioritize things differently. So the previous owners of this home, they did some wonderful things. They created a beautiful kitchen and put in some nice flooring and things like that. But in terms of all of this non-water diversion, like, how does that happen? How do, you know, what makes a person not do better?
Well, I think the saying that we've been talking about is education. Do people know?
No.
Do they know the value of diversion? But they do see the beauty and value of adding a new kitchen.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, even here we could see a water downspout to our uphill a little bit, but then behind us by our feet, we see a black corrugated pipe. Now you've installed that.
Yes.
Prior, the water was actually hitting this post, and we could see the dirt at the base of the post. Well, what would that cause is water rot to the post. It can make this level unlevel. It can make the area soft or saturated, and that's where we see issues. But again, just going, you got to take it one baby step at a time.
Yeah.
But realize that HDD TV and those fantasy things, it's like, oh, it's so fast. It's 30 minutes, they're done.
No.
Takes months.
Yep.
And you really got to surround yourself with the right team. Even have a consultant work you from your goal and work that goal backwards to say, hey, that rock wall that you're looking at, or diverting the water, let's say that's a week, but then let's give it 10% a week and a half.
I mean, and this stuff costs money, you know, and you got to pay people what they're worth. This stuff is hard work, being outside, working in the sun, but it's kind of difficult to determine how much this is going to cost, you know, and as the time wears on, there's equipment, there's machinery. We had excavators in this yard, you know, and the guy that was doing the wall is renting that by the day from some other guy, you know, so all of these costs add up. And like you're saying, it's just really education and knowledge and really like getting a good understanding of your home, whether you're buying a home or even the home you live in now, right? Like,
oh, home you live in now, watch out and be mindful. Proactive maintenance is key. Don't let neglect go. Look at your gutter downspouts, which we're talking about, Ron. Make sure that water is diverting away versus, oh, I love my kitchen, I'm gonna remodel. Look at your foundational areas. Have that examined if you don't know, and admit, hey, it's okay that we don't know. We could learn from each other.
Totally. More issues? Let's go look.
Let's keep looking.
Okay. I'm not trying to scare anybody, right? Because I feel like any other buyer would have like run from this property after, maybe not. Sometimes buyers don't hear what you're saying, right? Because we're all in love with the kitchen.
Kitchen, views, right?
Right.
All this,
Totally.
You don't see the construction we see now. You had vegetation up here behind us. You had trees up here. You did have a crumbling wall. But it was still a beautiful view.
Very much so. And I did see the potential of what this could be. I mean, this was very much an unusable yard. I mean, it still is, but
but you still see the potential.
But I see the potential. And one of the steps that we knew we had to take, other than diverting water, you know, I wanted to create a yard for my dogs. And so before creating the yard, we had to take care of the water diversion, right? And so we've started that project. But then as we got in here and the excavator was working and they were backfilling the dirt and trying to flatten this out. Here comes construction, right? We realized the walls were failing and that you have to have really good integral rock walls to hold the earth and to hold all this stuff that you're doing. So, I mean, just one by one, it was just like tumbling down. We had a tree here. You remember that?
Yep.
Like it was.
Yeah, the tree behind us. You could even see the old wall on the neighbor's property where it's cracked and separated. But you, like you said, these roots over here came up out of the ground, and then all of a sudden, all these rocks started to move.
Yep.
But still, your goal is to terrace this level, make it usable yard. So in the midst of feeling like, oh my gosh, did I make the wrong decision? I think we've got to keep reality in the, it's just
For
a
sure.
process.
It is.
It's like working out. I want to go to the gym and just be ripped. But, man, I'm lazy. I don't go consistently.
Yeah.
And that's years.
Yeah.
And the truth is, look at the transformation you've made from a crumbling rock wall to overhanging trees. And you've already made a difference in, how long has it been?
Gosh, it's only been 3 months now.
3 months.
And I know I can confidently say the value has already gone up just
There you
with
go.
the little bit that we've done. I mean, the rock walls are huge,
Yes.
and that was just a small step,
Right.
you know? And it's not like I did the rock wall. We
Right.
hired people to do the rock
Right.
walls, and that was a process, but I'm so glad we did, because that's not something we'll ever have to do again
Right.
in 30 years, right?
Right.
Hopefully. And yeah, so I don't want anybody to ever feel scared
Right.
to buy a property where there's work to be done. It's just a matter of project planning and knowing like what you're going to do first and what's most important, and then going from there.
And I think people need to realize in the inspector, when he comes in, when you get that report, that's really for you to decide and how to prioritize.
Yeah.
Because then you got to figure out what's important to you. And you could use that report and that list over and over and go back to, here's my priority and here's what I want to do, and make that list so you could set up small wins along the way.
Yep. So this was fun when we got under here.
This is fun.
It is fun. It's super fun. But what's interesting is like inside the house, I notice it now.
Yeah.
There's like cracks in the drywall. Yeah. There's unevenness in the floor.
We put a ball on the floor, and I remember at the inspection it rolls.
Yeah, I swear I walk uphill all the time in my house. Anyway, so when we come under here though, we can trace it and we can see why it's like that. And we see where they've done some stuff.
Look here.
I mean, yeah, like right there is where the water comes. It's like a river.
Yeah, and that's multiple areas down here.
Cry me a river.
Right. And then you start to see, as you were talking about the ball rolling everywhere, right?
Yes.
That is settlement. And that's common we see in hillside, but the issue starts with water diversion, which we've already addressed.
Right.
But as we look in here, even off to our right and or my left, you'll see the corrugated drain pipes, which we looked at earlier. Those are water drains off the roof that were connected. But all these little rivers by my feet and crevasses where we could see water was coming down here.
Yeah.
But since you've diverted water, the question is, will it continue to settle for some people?
Yes.
I think you guys are even facing that a little bit.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. So we're at a point where, okay, we did it. We got the water away. Now what do we do?
Right.
Do we shore these up?
Right.
You know, there's what you call shims, right?
Yep.
These are the things that are in between that you, I guess they jack. I'm learning.
Yeah,
you jack the house and then you put things in. It's kind of like when the chair is uneven, right? You fold up cardboard and you put it underneath and it's like, okay, it's
when
good
the chair's on level, you put like a piece of
Exactly.
cardboard. Oh
So
yeah, it doesn't wobble.
That's what a shim is, right? Under a house,
Under a house.
basically.
Yeah.
That's how I relate to it. But what do we do now?
Yeah. Well, you remember, go back to the good that you've already done. You've diverted the water away. You're working on the landscape to keep that. Yes, you can look at having someone anchor all the way back to bedrock and slab. And look, we have some mountain here, so hopefully it's not too far. Or we consider, when was a home built?
1971.
71.
It's like 50.
So, and how much settling has it done?
Right.
We look at the post and pier behind us, so we have the 4x4 piece of wood coming down to a concrete block. Now I have seen some homes where that concrete block and that post has shifted to a second block or a third block.
Wow.
Where it's sliding down the hill, like literally sliding down the hill.
Gosh.
And they have to address new plumbing, they have to address new electrical. We don't see any of that in here. So then we go back to that original build year and we ask the question, is it done settling if you're keeping water out? That's great for someone to anchor, like an anchor systems or someone that deals with hillside, but keep in mind, is it done? Is it necessary to anchor back? That's a great question.
Aside from all the issues outside, I do love my house.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really happy with this house, and I see the potential, and you have definitely helped to put my mind at ease. Kaylee's a little bit freaked out, my husband. And
We've talked on the phone a few times.
Right.
We've had those conversations, right? So is it worth it to you?
It is worth it to me. And I think that's the bottom line, right?
Yes.
Like no one can tell you, yes, you should buy this house. No, you shouldn't buy that house. friends are especially
Yeah.
like they love you,
Yeah.
but they can sometimes be haters, right? Just
Yeah.
like, and they don't understand. And everybody's like a subject matter expert.
They could want to own, or they own, and they have different situations.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
all that.
And so it really comes down to you and your personal responsibility in saying, I bought this house, nobody made me.
Yes. That's
I
great.
informed myself as much as I possibly could on it. I made the decision to go ahead. I could decide not to do the yard.
Right.
I could decide not to divert water and just
Yep.
continue living here and let the house shift and be like, oh, well, shift happens, right? But you know, I'm a real estate agent, so of course I'm gonna do the things that bring the home value. But
We really can't blame even the previous owners. We gotta just take responsibility for where you're at, come up with a good game plan,
Yep.
and move on.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
How often have you really seen though, where like somebody buys a house and it slides down the hill?
Oh, we've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it.
Yeah, like we talked in the
I was hoping
foundation.
you didn't.
We've seen it move post to post.
That's right, you said that.
But then, if you look at certain areas, do your research, because like Palolo Valley, we've gone up and done an inspection, and then a couple months later, that house isn't even there. Well, the hillside's not even there because it's slid.
Oh my gosh.
So know your areas, know what you're getting into, and then the inspector should bring you peace of mind by helping you develop a game plan, and then you get to bring your dreams become reality
Right.
through own.
Thank you for joining me, Trevor.
Yeah,
and
for
thank you
sure.
for all of your help.
Anytime. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw here today, and if you want to see more vlogs and videos like this, please subscribe, leave me some comments, let me know perhaps what you'd like to see going forward. And also, if you need my help as a real estate agent, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you.